3 spine-chilling true stories exposed, terrifying secrets of haunted nights and sinister rainfall. The storm raged outside as Lisa navigated through the rain-slicked streets of Briarwood, gripping the steering wheel like a lifeline. The weight of the night pressed heavily on her chest, a palpable threat lurking just beyond her visibility, intensifying every drop that pummeled the roof of her old car. Lightning split the sky, illuminating fleeting shadows that danced menacingly in the periphery. Just hours ago, she had left her teenage son, Jake, alone in their modest home, an unsettling choice that now clawed at her gut with every rumble of thunder. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, vibrating violently against the console. A text notification, unknown number. She hesitated, pulse quickening, her mind racing. The air in her car felt thinned, as if with each passing second it was becoming harder to breathe, thicker with dread. Ignoring it, she pressed on, but the uneasy feeling only grew more pronounced. Each car on the road seemed an eerie specter, their headlights casting long, grasping hands that reached for her as she drove past. Something was wrong, something was very wrong. Back at home, Jake sat on the couch, flicking nervously through channels but unable to focus. Rain slammed against the windows, each pock making the house feel smaller, more suffocating. His phone chimed again. Another message from the unknown sender. "I know what you hide." It seeped into him like poison, his heart pounding like a war drum echoing in the silence of their living room. Feeling defiant, he dismissed it as a prank, but each message that followed chipped away at his resolve. "I see you every night. You're not alone." A chill settled over him. Shadows loomed in the corners of the dimly lit room, whispering secrets he didn't want to hear. Lisa's anxiety climbed higher as she pulled into the driveway, the house casting a dark silhouette against the stormy night. She stepped inside, soaking wet and icy. The moment she closed the door, he knew something was off. The shadows, previously benign, now flickered with a malevolence that made her skin crawl. It was too quiet, unnaturally quiet. Gripping her phone, she turned it off, trying to steady her racing heart. Then, she recalled Mr. Thompson, the seemingly friendly neighbor who often nosed around with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. The unease from earlier flickered back to life, a gut instinct warning her. As the thunder roared overhead, drowning out her senses, she wandered to his garage, feeling drawn to discover what lay behind its creaky door. Her breath caught as she found the hidden entrance. Peering down into an abyss of darkness, her heart thudded louder than the rain falling around her. There it was, rows and rows of cameras, recording every moment of their lives. The electric fear coursed through her, blurring her vision. She staggered back, panic threatening to swallow her whole, when she heard the soft but deliberate knock. "Lisa, let me in. I can help you." The voice was chillingly familiar and terribly wrong. Her instincts screamed, all the stories she heard growing up flooded into her mind. She remembered the folklore about the Watcher, a dark entity lurking in stormy nights, studying families from the shadows, preying on their deepest fears. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake sensed the dread permeating the air around them. The knocking intensified, each hard rap echoing like the drumbeats of impending doom. He glanced at Lisa, eyes wide with horror. They were no longer in a safe haven. The world outside was drenched in a sinister rain, their lives twisted into a chilling nightmare. As the power flickered, plunging them into darkness, they gripped each other tight, fear binding them together. Who could they trust? The voice beyond the door or the shadows of their own neighbor? Just then, their clock chimed, the sound slicing through the darkness, resonating with the ticking of their fast-beating hearts. The storm didn't just promise rain. It promised revelations torn from the fabric of their lives. Would they uncover the truth before their deepest horrors became a reality? The thunder cracked again, louder this time, rattling the windows as the lights flickered once more before surrendering to the deep darkness. It felt like a suffocating blanket wrapping around them, pushing the air from their lungs. The knocking persisted, each thud a relentless reminder that whatever haunted this night wanted in. "Mom!" Jake whispered, his voice barely rising above the howling wind outside. "What is going on? Who is it?" I don't know," Lisa managed, each word trembling in her throat. The urge to run surged through her, but fear anchored her feet to the ground. They couldn't show weakness. "Not now." "Is it Mr. Thompson?" Jake asked, glancing nervously toward the door. Maybe her voice faded, uncertainty clawing at her thoughts. The images of the cameras, of laughter stolen from their lives, churned like a storm inside her head. Then a soft voice broke through the pounding of the rain. "You can't hide forever, Lisa. I just want to help you." It was laced with an unsettling calmness that sent chills racing up her spine. She felt like prey, exposed and vulnerable to something that could see her very soul. "Stay here, Jake," she ordered, though her resolve trembled. She crept toward the door, each step feeling like a betrayal to her instincts. "Mom, don't." Jake's voice was urgent, a wild plea. "We need to call the police. This isn't right." But the phone was useless now, cut off from the outside world. Briarswood was being swallowed by the storm. As she reached for the doorknob, her heart thumped violently against her ribcage. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. She could do this. She could face whoever or whatever was beyond that door. "Who are you?" she called through the barrier. "What do you want?" Another sharp knock, this one accompanied by a whispering breath that felt cold as ice. "Let me in, love. It's going to rain and you know what that means." Rain coursed down the panes of glass, and with each drop, her mind replayed images of the things she had tried to forget. Disappointments, secrets, choices that had stained her life and carved shadows into their home. The uneasy feeling crept back, coiling around her throat like a creeping vine. "Mom! Don't open it!" Jake cried out again. But even he sensed the strange pull, the almost surreal nature of the situation. Something horrific lingered in the air, a promise of revelations that could undo them both. With one final breath, she grasped the knob and twisted. The door creaked open slowly, unveiling a figure shrouded in darkness, face obscured by shadow and rain. "Good evening, Lisa. May I come in?" The wetness from outside soaked into her skin, drenching her with a chilling realization. The figure was not just familiar, it was someone from her past. The face stirred a confusion born of long-buried memories. "Please, I'm just here to help," it called, its tone deceptively soothing. Then, before Lisa could respond, a scream erupted from behind them, deafening, filled with terror. It was coming from Jake. In that moment, reality splintered. The door swung wider, and the darkness behind the figure seemed to pulse, an ominous invitation to step inside that promised knowledge but held only dread. "Get away from him!" Lisa shouted, suddenly fierce. The fear transformed into something sharper, something primal, but the figure merely grinned, a shadowy smile revealing too many familiar truths, glancing back over its shoulder toward Jake. "Don't run away, my dear. When it rains, it never stops." And just like that, the storm outside joined the chaos inside, their lives poised on the brink of uncharted terror. What awaited them on the other side of choice? And could they overcome the darkness creeping ever closer, both within and without? The scream echoed and vibrated off the walls, almost blending with the howling wind outside, each note filled with desperation. Jake's voice cut through the tension like shards of glass, forcing Lisa to act. "Jake!" She turned, adrenaline surging. He was backing away, eyes wide and frantic, trapped between the couch and the flickering television, a dark figure looming in the doorway behind him. "Get away from him!" she yelled, her heart hammering in her chest. Panic ignited her movements, propelling her toward Jake. She felt the rush of fury, the primal urge to protect her son from whatever evil had resurfaced. The figure in the doorway didn't move. It remained shadowy, its features obscured by the storm and the dim ambience of the room. But Lisa could feel its gaze, a snake-like coil tightening around her throat. "Lisa," it cooed, that sickly sweet voice cutting through the noise, "you don't want to feel this way. Don't you see? I'm here for you. I always have been." "Shut up," she shouted. How could it still sound so familiar, so eerily comforting? The floodgates of her memory threatened to open, but she wouldn't let them. "Mom, please. It's gonna get us. We need to go." Jake's please yanked her back to the moment. And then she heard it, a low whisper curling around her brain, insisting, urging her to open her mind, to let the figure in. It wasn't just the storm that filled the room, an overwhelming dread thickened the air, as if the entity fed off her confusion. She felt the pull, a twisted desire for understanding that clashed violently with her urge to flee. "No!" Lisa spat, forcing her instincts to rally against the growing dread. She pivoted towards Jake, saw the fear swelling in his eyes. "We're not going anywhere with it." Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, casting flickers of light that caught the figure in grotesque glimpses, revealing cracked skin and a gaping mouth that smiled wide, showing too many teeth. The laughter that followed was hollow, echoing like a phantom from the depths of unremembered nightmares. "Look at him, Lisa," the figure taunted, pointing a long, thin finger at Jake. "He's always been scared of the rain, hasn't he? Just like you were at his age. You think you can protect him when you couldn't save yourself?" Each word struck Lisa like a fist to the gut. Anguish over her past failures cracked open just a little more, oozing bitterness she had fought so hard to seal away. But even in that moment of weakness, the protective instinct blazed within her. "Jake, stay back!" she barked, blocking him from sight. Her heart pounded as she stared at the figure, desperately searching for the person she once knew. The memories tugged at her mind like tendrils of smoke, continuously obscured, wrapped in shadows. "Why did you run from me, love?" the figure whispered, tension smothering the room. "I'm here to set you free." With those words, thunder crashed outside, startling Jake. The world outside seemed to twist, the storm churning more violently, reflecting the turmoil inside. Lightning sliced the darkness, illuminating Lisa's face, showing the determination that burned bright in her eyes. "You want the truth? Let me show you." Before she could blink, the room transformed. The walls bled shadows that twisted and turned, morphing into images from her past, fractured memories of guilt and pain, moments that had felt mundane but were now tainted with terror. She staggered back, almost losing her footing as they engulfed her. "Mom!" Jake cried, and somewhere in the chaos, she could hear the faint sound of his heartbeat, racing in sync with the storm's fury around them. Just then, she remembered, the last time it rained like this, she had lost everything. "Wake up, Lisa!" the figure shouted, its form becoming more defined, more threatening. "Face it. You can't bury me forever." The words snaked around her, squeezing her heart, but before she could take a step back, the shadows surged, pulling her into an abyss of uncertainty and despair that threatened to claim both their souls. And as the storm raged on, another scream echoed, but this time it was different. It pierced the veil of storm, a raw call for salvation. What had she unleashed? Was it already too late to save Jake, or could they still find a way out of this nightmarish web of darkness tightening around them? Lisa felt herself slipping, swallowed by the relentless shadows that stretched and twisted like angry serpents around her. Each memory clawed at her, images flashing too quickly to grasp. A forgotten house, laughter turned to screams, rain pouring like judgment from a broken sky. "Mom! Don't go!" Jake's voice sliced through the haze, pulling her back for just a moment. She turned toward him, grasping at the frayed edges of reality just as the shadows receded momentarily. But the figure loomed, grinning with malevolent glee, its presence a suffocating weight pressing down on her chest. "I can show you, dear Lisa," it rasped, stepping closer. "Let go of your fears. Embrace the storm. You have nothing left to lose." "No!" Lisa shouted, clenching her fists, her pulse racing. Desperation welled inside her as she thought of Jake. She couldn't allow this thing to dismantle her mind, her fears. "We're stronger than you." A crack of lightning illuminated the figure, and for a brief, horrifying moment, she recognized it for what it was, a corrupted reflection of herself. "I'm not afraid of you," she screamed, pushing away the darkness with all the strength she could muster. "She believes she is stronger, but you know the truth, don't you?" The figure's laugh split the air, a grotesque cacophony that echoed against the walls. "You're nothing without me, Lisa. We are one and the same." Shadows curled around her feet, and the floor began to shift like quicksand, pulling her downward. Lisa's heart raced. She could see Jake trembling, tears streaming down his face as he fought against the instinct to flee. "Mom! Help!" he sobbed, reaching for her. "Hold on, Jake. Just hold on," she shouted, trying to break through the disorienting chaos. She felt a surge of clarity amidst the panic. The house, its bones, its spirits, all trapped in this storm of sorrow and fear. She had to take control. She had to awaken the strength that had always been buried deep inside. With a desperate roar, Lisa closed her eyes, reaching back within herself, plunging into those memories she feared so much. The moments of pain, of grief, of loss, all that she had run from. She recalled courage, too, and the flickers of hope that had once lit her way. "Leave us alone," she thundered, arms raised, channeling every ounce of defiance she could summon. The figure recoiled, its expression twisting from smugness to rage. "You think you're free?" it screeched, shadowy tendrils stretching to grasp her. The storm outside seemed to respond, winds howling intensely as rain lashed against the windows. For every drop, every gust, Lisa felt power surging through her, shaking off the despair that clung like cobwebs. She opened her eyes, surveying the room with newfound ferocity. "Listen to me," she shouted, locking her gaze onto Jake. "We're not afraid. We are stronger than our past." Jake's fear seeped into her, grounding her in the moment. An energy pulsed between them, a bond unbreakable even against the darkest forces. She willed the shadows back, pushing through the sorrow. "You don't belong here. We're alive. We're fighting." In that instant, the figure shrieked in fury, melting into the darkness, shriveling away from the walls. But the threat was not gone. Lisa could still feel its presence lurking just beyond the veil of shadows, ready to strike. "Mom! What if it comes back?" Jake's terrified whisper resonated. The storm crashed against the glass, rattling the house to its core, as hope flickered in Lisa's heart. They had faced the entity, but was this battle over? Outside, the rain beat down harder, and with it came a spine-chilling chorus of whispers that wafted through the cracks of the walls, too seductive to ignore. Who else lingered out there, yearning for the storm's embrace? Dread washed over her as she realized, this wasn't just about her and Jake anymore. The darkness had others to claim. Who, or what, would be next? The whispers pressed in, seeping through the walls and wrapping around Lisa like a noose. They coiled tighter with each heartbeat, soft, seducing voices slithering through the air, promising comfort, belonging, a release from pain. Lisa felt her stomach churn, the ghosts of regret and despair rising within her, clawing at her resolve. "Mom, I hear them. They're calling." Jake's eyes widened, filled with a mix of fear and curiosity. His small hands trembled as he held onto her, an anchor in a sea of relentless chaos. "No!" Lisa shrieked, panic slicing through her. Don't listen to them. They're lies. She could feel the shadows fluttering, like moths around a flame, licking at the edges of her sanity, and she couldn't let Jake be consumed. Not again. The walls seemed to pulse, breathing with a dark life of their own. Memories crashed into her. A mother's comforting embrace turned cold, laughter that twisted into screams, and the dread of that night, of losing everything. She shivered, shaking off the memories as rain drummed violently on the roof, each drop a reminder of their torment. Please. She shouted into the darkness, her voice barely cutting through the storm. Leave us alone. Yet the whispers grew louder, more urgent, almost mocking her defiance. Join us, Lisa, they cooed. You were lost before you even started. They're waiting for you. Forever. You're not strong enough, but we can help. The temperature in the room dropped. Lisa swore she could see their shadows shifting, taking shape, forming faces of the lost, the reflections of a past she dared not relive. Each one was another lost soul, their eyes hollow and filled with despair, crying for release. They were begging her to let go. No. She screamed again, with every ounce of strength she had left. Lightning streaked through the window, illuminating a figure, her own reflection staring back, anguished and pleading. It struck her that this battle was never just against the entity, it was against her own darkest fears. Jake stepped forward, drawn in by the chorus of voices. Mom, what if they can help? His small voice trembled, and his eyes flickered with a dangerous curiosity. Panic surged within her, pure and real. Jake, listen to me. She reached for him, her voice cracking. We can't. They'll take you. They'll take us both. We have to stay together. Realization struck like a whip. This wasn't a fight just for survival, it was a fight for their souls. Just then, a gust of wind slammed against the house, rattling the windows as if the whole structure was alive, demanding her surrender. Mom. Jake's voice was edged with panic. He pulled at her, trying to break through the wall of fear surrounding her. I can't. I want it to end. No. Lisa cried. You don't understand. The shadows surged forward like a tidal wave, stretching to engulf them, drowning out her voice. Memories surged once more. She saw the house in its former glory, filled with laughter before it all shattered into chaos. Desperation clawed at her throat. Jake. She snatched his hands in hers, holding on with fierce determination as the darkness closed in. It felt like a volcano about to erupt, tension building around them. Remember the love? The good memories? We fight for those. But at that moment, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman, her face eerily familiar, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Join us, Lisa. We waited for you. You deserve this. You've always known. Lisa froze in terror, her breath hitching as the truth crashed into her mind. This was not just a distant specter, it was the twisted memory of her own mother, a woman lost to the haunting shadows long ago. Mom? She whispered, heart racing. Was she really here, or another layer of darkness trying to trap her? Jake squeezed her hand tighter, his face pale with fear. Mom, what do we do? As the storm raged outside, the air thick with impending doom, Lisa faced her mother's ghost, her voice barely above a whisper. I want to give. In the figure smiled, a twisted smile that mirrored Lisa's reflection. But you already have. The storm is just beginning. What other truths lay hidden in the shadows waiting to reveal themselves? This wasn't over. It had only just begun. The shadows crept closer, encircling them like a predator closing in on its prey. Lisa's heart raced as her mother's ghost took a step forward, the coldness of her presence pressing into the fabric of the room. The whispers grew sharper, slicing through Lisa's thoughts, igniting her panic. Join us, Lisa, they hissed, echoing like a taunt. Mom, don't let them. Jake whimpered, his small voice trembling, collapsing into fear. He could feel it too, the darkness shifting, hungry, whispering promises of comfort in the face of their relentless suffering. "Stay close," Lisa commanded, eyes darting around the dim room, searching for an escape. The windows rattled violently, the storm outside merging with the chaos within. It was as if the world outside was breaking, just like her fragile reality. No, no, no. She felt the weight of despair trapping her, holding her hostage. The specter of her mother gazed at her, eyes dark and pleading. "You are so weary, my love. Come back to us. We can ease your pain." With every beat of her heart, the whispers intertwined with her thoughts. They wove around memories like vines, wrapping them tighter until she couldn't distinguish between what was real and what was part of the darkness. She was drowning, and Jake was slipping through her fingers. "I can't," she screamed, feeling the world warp around her. "Embrace it, Lisa." The shadows enveloped her, their essence curling in towards her. "Release the burden. Give in, and we will all be free." Tears streamed down her face, and she shook her head violently. "No." The resolve inside her flickered like an old light bulb, struggling against the encroaching blackness. She turned her gaze to Jake, finding his frightened eyes. "We have to fight, Jake. We can beat them." But in that moment, the darkness erupted. The air snapped and crackled as if something were being unleashed, a surge of energy that warped the room. Lisa grabbed Jake tight, whispering, "We'll stay together. We're stronger. I won't let them take you." Yet even as she spoke, the shadows grew bolder, their tendrils snaking into the corners, curling around ready to strike. A jagged laugh ricocheted off the walls, pulling Lisa's thoughts into a whirlpool of fear. "You can't fight destiny, Lisa," her mother's ghost said, the words a chilling reminder of moments long buried. The floor trembled beneath them, the house alive with an anguished groan. Each creak sank deep into her bones, amplifying the discord. She could see her mother's figure drift just out of reach, a chilling embodiment of despair and longing. "I tried to save you, Lisa, you're just like me." "Stop," Lisa gasped. She couldn't bear to see the truth. The darkness must be lying. But couldn't she hear the echoes of doubt whispering? Truth and deceit blended together in a nightmarish dance, making her question if there was any escape from this horror. But just as she thought the darkness would consume them both, a flash of lightning illuminated a path. An opening, a chance. "Run, Jake." She pulled him toward the light, toward the way out. But then, just as they took a step forward, a furious wind slammed against them, throwing them backward. "You can't leave without facing your past." The voice morphed into a cacophony of her own torment. Lisa fell to her knees, gasping for breath. Around her, shadows whirled, fingers reaching, grasping, trying to claw them back. Her mother's laughter echoed, then faded. "You will return to us. You cannot fight what you are, it's only a matter of time." Panic swelled, tightening like a vice. "Jake!" she screamed, forcing herself to pierce through the darkness that surrounded her, but Jake's grip slipped. The shadows seized him, pulling him into the depths of despair. Lisa watched in horror. "No! I won't let you take him." The ground throbbed with malevolence. The storm raged on, wind howling, carrying the eerily sweet song of defeat. "Join us, you belong with us." The air shuddered around her. She knelt there, heart pounding, overwhelmed. What price would she have to pay to save her son? She had to find a way to break free before her past claimed them both once and for all. The realization struck hard: this wasn't just a physical battle. It was a dance with her demons, and they would stop at nothing to drag her down. What would she sacrifice to save Jake? And if she were to join the shadows, who in the end would she even become? As she steeled herself to rise, the whispers surged. The storm outside reached a fever pitch. Did she still have the strength left to fight? And could they find a way to survive before someone else was lost to the darkness? The ground shook violently as Lisa struggled to comprehend the scene unfolding before her. The shadows thrashed like wild serpents, weaving through the air with deceptive grace. Their whispers grew louder, shriller, a maddening symphony of despair. "Join us," they echoed, coaxing her deeper into the abyss. "Jake! Fight them!" she cried, the desperation clawing at her throat. She reached out, but the darkness had coiled around his small form, pulling him towards that gnawing void. Her heart raced, a drumbeat of panic thrumming in her ears. "I want to let them take you." With every inch the shadows dragged him, she felt her strength sapping away. The air thickened, saturated with despair and regret. It filled her lungs, suffocating. She dropped to the floor, chest tight, desperately clawing at the ground as if it would anchor her back to hope. "Mama, please." Jake's voice was wavering, almost lost in the tumult of swirling darkness. The fear etched across his face ignited something fierce inside her. That glimpse of his likeness, innocent and terrified, became her lighthouse in the raging storm. "Stay with me, Jake." The very walls groaned as if the house itself was alive, breathing with malice. Lisa scrambled to her feet, sweat beading on her forehead as she surveyed her surroundings. The shadows shifted, closing in like a predatory pack. They distorted into faces she recognized, friends lost, family forgotten, all enticing her to join them. They clawed at her mind, promising sanctuary in the sweet embrace of oblivion. "No!" she bellowed, a fierce anger igniting within her. "You want to have us?" From within, a flicker of defiance ignited. She recalled her mother's past, the deep-seated pain that had taken root in their family, the unyielding grief that had turned her mother into a ghost. It echoed inside her, a call to arms. "Remember who you are, Lisa," she whispered to herself, a mantra against the darkness. "You're a fighter." But the shadows laughed, a harsh, unsettling sound that echoed within the walls. "You're just like her, just like all of us," the figures writhed, merging into that spectral image of her mother. "You'll give, and it's inevitable." Lisa could feel the tendrils of despair curling around her heart, threatening to clamp down like a vice. But she fought back, raising her hands in defiance. "No. I want to end up like you." With sheer determination, she tore through the haze of memories, the love, the laughter, the sweetness of a life uncomplicated by grief. Each recollection shoved away the invasive shadows, breaking their hold bit by bit. Outside, the storm responded, raging against the house. Rain lashed against the windows, a furious downpour that thrummed like a heartbeat. She had to move. She had to get Jake. "Focus on the light," she yelled, pulling him back, feeling him fight against the shadow's pull. Each step, each inch was a battle, but together they pushed through the thrumming darkness. But as they neared the edge of the turmoil, another wave of shadows surged forth, knocking Lisa off balance. She screamed, twisting as cold fingers latched onto her ankle, dragging her down. "Jake!" she cried in agony, watching in horror as the distance between them stretched painfully, the light beckoning just out of reach. Suddenly, the room erupted in a chaotic frenzy. "You can never escape, Lisa. Your past is here. Your chains are strong." The storm reached a dizzying crescendo. Thunder cracked overhead, shaking the very foundations. In that moment of chaos, Lisa felt something shift deep within. A cold fury erupted, a torrent of raw power she hadn't known existed. She grasped it tightly. "Stay with me, Jake." Yet the moment she said it, her fears crept back in, a gnawing doubt. What if she couldn't hold on? What if the shadows were right? This moment could be their end or a true beginning. As the shadows lunged, claws outstretched, she readied herself for one last stand. She had to summon every ounce of strength and hope she had left. But would it be enough to save them from the darkness threatening to consume them both? The finality of the storm loomed ahead. Would she triumph, or would despair swallow them whole? With a sudden surge of energy, Lisa felt the grip of despair loosening. Every memory, every flicker of light pushed the shadows back, her will rippling outward. You won. Take him. The words erupted from her throat, raw and primal. But the shadows only shrieked in response, retreating for a moment before surging forward again, more ferocious and determined than before. Lisa could see Jake's face, twisted with fear, eyes wide as he fought against the dark tendrils. His small figure was being pulled closer to the grotesque darkness that clawed at them. "Mama! Please!" Jake cried, his voice trembling, yet laced with a flicker of hope. It fueled her resolve even in this nightmarish fight. She couldn't falter now, not when hope still shined in her son's eyes. "No! Hold on, Jake!" Lisa shouted, summoning all her strength. She pushed through the cascading dark waves, every movement feeling like wading through thick glue. The leering faces morphed and twisted into horrifying mockeries of her loved ones, taunting her, daring her to join them. "You're weak, Lisa. Just like your mother." They jeered, their voices a cacophony of despair. Her own heart pounded like a hammer, each beat echoing doubts. But she couldn't let them in. Not now. Not ever. In the storm's rage, a brilliant flash of lightning illuminated the room, revealing the grotesque forms for what they truly were: fragments of her deepest fears, ghosts of her past. Shadows born from grief, abandon, and unresolved pain. "Jake, keep looking at me." She reached out, desperately trying to bridge the gap. Every second felt like a lifetime as the shadows twisted and clawed, pulling him deeper into their grasp. Just a few more steps. Suddenly, a violent surge shocked through the darkness, sending fragments of shadow scattering like paper blown in the wind. Lisa seized the moment, grasping Jake's hand tightly. "We can do this together." With every ounce of her strength, she pulled him back. Another bolt of lightning severed one of the shadows from Jake, releasing its grip. He stumbled back towards her, eyes wide in chaos, the storm outside creaking and howling, its voice a testament to their struggle. "Mama!" He gasped, the chill of fear washing over him. The shadows hissed in frustration, their patience wearing thin. "You think you can fight us?" they whispered, weaving back like dark smoke. "You are nothing without your sadness." Lisa felt the truth of their words sink in. For just a moment her past haunted her. It always had. An icy tendril crept into her throat, tightening her breath. Could she truly pull him free? "Your chains are strong, Lisa," but the flicker of hope inside her surged. "No. I will not be defined by my past." She screamed into the chaos. In that moment, something shifted inside her: a realization, a power. The storm peaked, bedlam erupting. Thunder crashed as she used every ounce of fury, every shred of memory of love, to push the darkness back. A gold light erupted from her heart, spilling forth like molten lava. It illuminated the room, casting shadows fleeing in terror. "Stay with me," she yelled, feeling Jake's small hand clasp around hers, warmth sending bolts of hope shooting through her like wildfire. Together, they stood against the darkness, shadows recoiling in bewilderment. But just as it seemed they were winning, the sky darkened. A sinister whisper clawed back into her mind. "You think you're free? You don't know what lies ahead." As the light flickered, Lisa felt an earthquake within her soul. The shadows were not done yet. They would return with a vengeance. "Jake, listen to me." Her voice was a lifeline, drawing him close. "We might make it, but we have to be ready for the final fight." The storm outside choked the night. The walls of the house trembled with unfathomable power. They were not free yet, that much was clear. What awaited them further in the abyss? A snap echoed through the air, followed by a chilling silence, leaving only the steady thrum of her heart. What shadows lay deeper in the dark? And would the light within her be strong enough to guide them back to safety? The thunder roared as Lisa clutched Jake's hand. The house shuddered, vibrating with impending doom. Darkness writhed at the edges, clawing, tearing at the fragile barrier of light she had created. The shadows were pulsing, almost alive, whispering her mother's name with longing. They knew her weakness. "Mama, what's happening?" Jake quivered, staring into the swirling void that threatened to engulf them both. His small fingers were slick with sweat, and Lisa could feel the weight of fear pressing down on her, trying to suffocate the light between them. "We can do this," she said, forcing courage into her trembling voice. A flicker of light burst from her core, pushing back at the grasping darkness. But the shadows recoiled only briefly, angry whispers rising like wind in a storm. "Stay close." The urgency hung in the air, straining against the oppressive silence. Every crack of thunder felt like a warning, a countdown to something horrific that was about to unfold. But in the depths of her mind, doubt crept in. What if her power wasn't enough? The shadows lunged forward, and Lisa felt icy fingers wrap around her wrist, pulling her away from Jake. Time slowed, her heart thudding like a drum. "Let him go!" she screamed, her voice barely breaking through the chaos. With an instinct born from desperation, she thrust her free hand forward, summoning the golden light once more. With each pulse of light, the shadows hissed, recoiling as if scorched. It was a moment of hope, but it was fleeting. They surged again, drawing closer, whispering dreadful secrets. "You don't know what you've unleashed," they snarled, voices layered with her own insecurities, memories of failure, and fear. Fragments of her past manifested in those shadows, her mother's face twisted in pain, her father's cruel laughter. It felt like they were reaching out, trying to pull her into the very darkness that threatened to consume Jake. "Look at me, Jake," she cried, locking eyes with her son, drawing strength from his innocence. "We are stronger than this." She felt him nod, his love igniting a fire inside her, a beacon against the night. With a newfound determination, Lisa summoned every painful memory, every sorrowful moment, and cast it into the light. The shadows screeched, their forms faltering, shadows melting into a mist of despair that receded like a tide. But as the nightmare dissipated, an eerie calm descended. A chill ran down her spine, wrapping around her like a vice. The storm outside grew still, and the air became heavy and filled with a stifling silence. "Mama, what's happening now?" Jake's voice cracked, fear threading through each syllable. Lisa looked around, her pulse racing. The shadows were gone, but an unsettling feeling loomed, an emptiness where the chaos had been. It was too quiet, too calm. "I don't know, sweetheart. But we have to stay alert." Without warning, an unearthly wail cut through the silence, chilling her to the bone. The very walls of their home echoed with despair, vibrating with an almost sentient anger. "Jake!" she yelled as the lights flickered overhead. The shadows weren't finished, they were gathering, regrouping, gathering strength. In the darkness, she could see the outline of something more sinister forming, something monstrous. The room shifted, as if the house itself were groaning in understanding, letting them know that the true horror had yet to reveal itself. Shadows stretched and contorted, merging into shapes that seemed familiar yet horrifyingly wrong. "Stay close, we can't lose hope, not now," Lisa breathed, her heart pounding. But just as the darkness solidified into a shape with cold eyes that pierced through, she couldn't shake the feeling that something far worse was about to unfold, something that would challenge the very essence of who she was, pushing her to confront her deepest fears. Lisa braced herself as the shadows whispered, "You think you're strong enough to face the truth?" What truth were they hiding? And would she survive when it finally emerged from the depths? Lisa stood frozen, Jake's small hand clasped tightly in hers as the shape began to take form. The shadows that once danced chaotically now swirled with purpose, coalescing into a figure bearing the familiar silhouette of her mother, but twisted and warped. Gone was the warmth she remembered. This specter was filled with contempt and sorrow, eyes hollow like the deepest caves. "You thought you could just run away, didn't you?" The figure hissed, voice layered with echoes of pain. "Stay behind me, Jake!" Lisa shouted, desperation fueling her movements. The knowing dread in her heart stiffened her resolve. "You're not real," she defied, thoughts racing as the storm surged once more outside, thunder rumbling ominously as if responding to her inner turmoil. "Oh, but I am," the shadow mocked, stepping forward as the wind howled fiercely around them, mocking her courage. "You've always wanted to hide. Always wanted to be free of your past. But it's here, Lisa. It's always been here. You cannot escape it." Jason pressed against her leg, eyes widened with raw fear, a palpable echo of her own. "Mom, what does it want?" he whimpered, voice shaking. "Just stay close," she commanded again, the warmth of his little body igniting a flicker of hope in her chest. The shadows twisted and fluttered around them, crawling up the walls, whispering memories of cracked laughter and blurred pain, pushing against her mind like a desperate tide that threatened to swallow them whole. "Face the truth, Lisa," her mother's shadow insisted, stretching out a hand. The gesture was both inviting and terrifying. "Embrace what you've tried so hard to hide." "No!" Lisa shouted defiantly, gripping Jake's hand tighter. "No more. I will not let you control us." The figure smirked cruelly as the shadows slithered around her, punctuating her defiance with malicious laughter. "You think you can fight us alone? You're the scared little girl hiding in a dark corner, just like before." With a rush of anger, Lisa strained against the weight of the darkness. "I'm not afraid of you," she yelled, heart pounding. In that moment, the blurred memories crashed into focus: her mother's pain, the nights spent in fear, the choices that led to their broken bond. Every haunting image held a piece of her truth, and she had to harness that instead of cower. Despite the gravity of despair, she began to speak, her voice gaining strength. "I am not my past. I refuse to let it define who I am." As she declared those words, a bright burst of golden light flickered in her core, expanding outward, pushing against the void. The power surged through her and illuminated Jake's face, a reflection of pure courage. Together, they were strong, their love a beacon piercing the dark. "Hold on to me, Jake. We can do this." All around, the storm raged, but they fought back. The shadows shrieked violently, swarming as the light pressed even harder. "You win," Lisa shouted, summoning memories of laughter, love, and forgotten bliss that had been buried under mountains of grief. The light swirled and pulsed, creating a shield between them and the encroaching shadows. Jake looked up at her, and in that short flicker of time, realization dawned. "Mom, it's not just about fighting, it's about remembering." His voice, strong in its innocence, shone through the chaos, igniting more power in Lisa's heart. "Yes," she cried out, pure energy coursing through her veins. Each step forward felt like she was trudging through wet concrete, but they pressed on. The ground beneath her feet vibrated with energy as the shadows latched on, trying to pull them back. "More!" she bellowed, pouring everything she had into this moment, channeling love, the good memories, and the warmth of hope. The shadows shrieked, twisting with fury, their forms flickering like candle flames in a storm. "We will not be defeated." With one final surge, they burst forth, the golden light expanding into a radiant wave. It flooded the room and swept over the dark figures, instantly banishing the twisted forms of her past, vaporizing them into harmless wisps. The air crackled as silence swept in, the storm around them dimming into a soft patter against the windows. Lisa staggered, blinking as clarity returned. She looked down at Jake, whose face had shifted from terror to a joyful brightness. "We did it, Mom." Breathless and exhilarated, Lisa pulled him into a grateful embrace, tears streaming down her face. "We faced the truth, sweetheart, together." In that moment, a soft light broke through the clouds outside, illuminating the dreary night. The rain turned gentle, washing away the burdens they had carried for far too long. The house felt lighter, as if the shadows had been cast out and the air breathed anew. As they stepped outside into the tranquility of dawn, Lisa grasped Jake's hand, a newfound strength blossoming in her heart. They had fought the darkness, and although the road ahead might still be windy, they would face it together stronger and unafraid. "Let us go home," Lisa said softly, relief washing over her. "And this time, let us face the future together, no more hiding." With a smile that reached her heart, she knew the real fight was not just against the shadows but for the lives they would build anew. And above them, the rain began to clear, promising brighter days ahead. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could chill your bones. Smash the like button now, every click feeds the algorithm and helps spread the thrill. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this conclusion. Only true fans, like you, understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.